Okay, my outstanding friends, we're going to get into something deep today. Everybody's in the past talking about the Smithsonian destroyed all these giant bones and all this stuff. Well, who knows? I know that they have suppressed the information about human giants. There is no question about that. So let's look at what happened in the past about giant human skeletons. They were reported until the early 20th century, and then they decided it was all fake. Now let's look into this a little deeper, because this is my area of research, and my fossils are not just bones. They're the whole 9 yards, and they're DNA tested and CAT scanned. You know, here's the problem. I'm stuck between all the rocks and all the hard places. Well, what are the hard places? They're everything other than the rocks. Academics hate me because what I show supports the fact that the ancient myth was correct, and religion is also supported by this, God and all that stuff, so they hate me. The religious people hate me because these gigantic creatures support the things that they talked about that they don't agree with, which is there was gods and monsters and dragons and everything else on Earth. Everything I show pushes everybody to the sides. I'm in the middle. I'm stuck by myself. I have a few people that pay attention to this, but it's very, very hard to get people to understand because they're so shut down in their mind. And it did say this in all the, you know. All right, so here's the story. I get online and I'm swamping the internet with my story. And I had a ton of people coming, and it was really good. And I was all set. The school was going to start up, Mudfossil University, all this. Here's what happened, though. This Hickadick blamed the reports of giant skeletons on the will to believe, coupled with amateur anthropologists who were unfamiliar with human anatomy. And now this is when it happened to me. In 2014, an internet story began circulating claiming that the Smithsonian had custody of giant skeletons, and they destroyed thousands of giant skeletons in the early 20th century. The internet story about the Smithsonian was debunked by Reuters. Now, I never said anything about the Smithsonian destroying anything. However, I had all kinds of people say to me, where's all the bones? Where's the bones of these giants? I said, these are not bones. These are mud fossils. They're totally different. These giants were in the Great Flood. They were boiled into submission, basically, into rock. And so all I was getting swamped with was, where's the bones? Where's the bones? There's no bones. There's no bones. So the people that were like religious, and here's what happened, and I don't want to insult anybody. Don't take this the wrong way. I know these people are so religious they'll accept just about anything to support God, and I kind of agree with that. Except you got to be in the reality. So what happened was somebody made this said, "Oh, the Smithsonian destroyed all those." Well, I never said that, but somebody did, and then somebody else said, in academia, said, well, if this guy believes he's got 100 dragons and giants and all this stuff, he's got to believe the world's flat. And then all of a sudden, everybody says, oh yeah, the world's flat. The world's flat. Earth is flat. And basically, my channel was really destroyed from all of the attacks from every side. From the religious people, they hated me because my stuff supported some of the ancient, really anti-religious texts. Some of it does. It does. I went for the truth. That's the problem. You go for the truth, you can't appeal to anybody. I'm dead in the middle. And this is what happened. In 2014, they went up against me and destroyed my research. Okay, so they're talking about Smithsonian and bones. Well, I don't have bones. I have body parts. That, my friends, is not just a giant fingertip. That is a gigantic fingertip. 3 feet. From here to here, 3 feet. That is the little pad between the bones so they don't scrub. That's the fingernail. See it, the fingernail? And I mean, it's flawless. It was so perfect that this was covered here as well. It was just perfect. So in order to get blood out of it, I had to smash this piece off, which I did, and it came off with the fingerprints. Not just the fingernail on here. This came off with the fingerprints. And here are the fingerprints. You see that? That's what this grip skin is. This came off just like a scab. Underneath it's almost flat. It just laid right on there just like that. Basically like a scab came off. Now this, let me show you both of them together at the same time. Maybe see, you see? That's the fingertip, and that's what came off of there when I broke it off. Now, I have another, that's DNA tested too, when I drilled into it. And the thing is, I don't take the samples off the top and just say, okay, here's some stuff, see what happens. No, I drill into the arteries, all right, where the red blood is. Very, very simple to find. You see how much blood is in fingertips? Look at this. This is saturated, absolutely saturated. So blood is no problem, but you got to get through that outer layer. You see this outer layer here? You can't get blood out of that. Look, see it? It's just like a piece of rubber. And it really is. It's tough. That's grip skin, keratinized. All right, so now we understand the big 3-footer fingertip, 3 feet. I figured that thing's got to be 180 feet tall, at least. Now here's another one. Right here, this is a whole hand. It's over 3 feet wide. I think it's about 3 feet here. I think it was about 4 feet up here. I call it a 3-foot hand. It's a left hand. Just lay your hand back like this. You have one of those tendons right there. You see that tendon running right down between the pads of your, and this is the cleave in between the pad. This runs off to your small finger, your little finger. That goes off to your thumb. And we're up to only, not even into the fingertips yet, into the fingers yet. The fingers start about here somewhere. Now I have some fingertips from it too, and knuckles and everything else. I have a lot of stuff from this actually. And I had them CAT scanned, the fingertips, somewhere around here. Here it is. This is one of the fingertips. You know what, I should show you. I have it here, hold on. All right, this is the fingertip, and this is that fingertip. You see the cut right here? That's that cut right here. And the tendons lock right in there. That's where the tendons lock in so that you can move your fingertip. This is where the fingernail bed was, and I'll show you that. Now, I've got this green strapping tape around here to hold this together, because I broke this piece off here to look at the bone. The bone is right here. You see the bone? I broke this piece off to just see if the bone is still bone, and it is really almost still bone. It's transitioned, but not completely. But most of the rest is completely transitioned into what they call mudstone. It's basically been nucleophilically invaded by mud, because that's where it was, in the mud, just like this whole thing here. Now, something I didn't point out before that I should have. You see the silver stuff? You see it's like flaking off, peeling off. See it? See it peeling off over here. Why is that peeling off like that? And what's the silver stuff doing on there? Somebody paint this hand or something? You can see it clearly different. That's the grip skin. That's the part that's peeling off. This grip skin only is on the palms of your hands and your fingertips and your feet. It's where you really got to do some work, and it's designed for that purpose. Heavily keratinized. It's like having a big heavy-duty rubber glove on your hand. Basically, that's all it is. And once it peels off of there, there's just a layer here that just lays on there. As a matter of fact, I have that piece here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Oh, man. Here it is right here. All right. It's broken now, but this, whatever it is, you see the bottom here? That's the part that just glued on there. This is the part that has the fingerprints on it. can't figure out how this thing goes. There it is. And this was, the fingernail was right here. And I mean, this thing was big. And those are the fingerprints. Right here. So this is grip skin, and when it comes off, it just peels right off. Now this is pretty thick. That's the thickness of the skin. The other one was thinner, but it was maybe eighth of an inch thick. This, this is about half an inch or so. So it's just bigger creature, bigger body parts. Okay, I had these DNA tested, and these are all the little CTAGs of this DNA that certify that this was mitochondrial human DNA, mother's side. And it was very, very well done. These are the two that were the most dense, the two, and they were huge. This was the 36-inch tip, that 36-inch fingertip, and it was excellent quality. And another one was a lung that was done. That actually, this is right here. These are just like you could almost transplant this thing. It's so perfect. All the pleura is still on here. They all died in a great flood. There's a flat side on one side, and they were in a condition. I understand exactly what happened. And Yale wrote a paper about it, but they don't have it right. It was in a boiling hot flood. That's what they missed. And we almost got hit by Venus, and everything circled the Earth, and all the siliceous ooze came up, and the silicon-rich environment is what's preserved these. Exactly what Yale says, except they say they were only slimy creatures. No, there was things with bones, there was things with lungs, there was giants. That's the thing that freaked them out. When I presented this to Yale, 2012 or 2013, somewhere around there, by 2014, they destroyed me. Not necessarily Yale, I won't put it all on them, but it was, well, you know what? Let me show you something. Before we go there, I just want you to understand that I had all of this done, DNA tests, CAT scans, everything was done, and I was destroyed back in around 2014. So I actually ended up doing more research. Nothing ever changed. Well, all right, so here's what freaked them out, was these giants. And this is that fingertip that I just showed you. This is from the back. That's where the bone is. That's the tendon here, and that's the tendon here. They come up the side of the finger, so you can do this stuff. That right there is where I believe is the artery. It could be the artery or the vein. And this one here is the vein or the artery, but the other one. And this is the fingertip, which is this fingertip right here. Now, you wouldn't see much here looking at this. You say, well, that's just a rock. Ooh. However, once you see it in 2D CAT scan like this, you can see all the little features. That's why 2D is the best. Now, I have another 2D one here. Hold on. Where is it? Right there. This is the same fingertip. You remember where the tendons lock in the side? That right there is where the fingernail bed was. It's a pretty good sized fingertip. That's the fingertip. And the hand is 3 feet. Or between 3 and 4 feet wide. Now, you think that's big, right? You think both of those things I just showed you, that 36-inch long fingertip and this finger I just showed here, are big? Well, let me show you something else. Now, what I showed you was soft tissue fossilization. Absolutely fabulous. And Yale now agrees with it because I forced it on them. Exceptional preservation of soft-bodied creatures promoted by silica-rich oceans. Yes, the silicon came up from the ocean floors, which is called the siliceous ooze. Silicon is 2.5 times heavier than water. It went to the bottom of the ocean, and as we got hit by the impact of Venus, worldwide flood, exactly what it says, worldwide. These fossils, worldwide. Exceptional preservation, soft-bodied creatures. All right, now this goes 2016. This is also Yale. crazy, bizarre creatures. I showed him all these crazy things, giants and everything else. He said many of them are outright bizarre and do not resemble any organisms alive today, said Lydia Tarhan, postdoctoral fellow at Yale, first author of the study. We would like to understand the relationship to the complex animals that evolved shortly thereafter, because it was a great dying. Now they're saying, are these organisms some sort of failed evolutionary experiment? Or do they include animals that are here today in the oceans? Well, guess what? The giants were failed, yes. They had to wipe them off the face of the planet. The monsters, the giants, the dragons. And this is what they can't accept. And then they could come down to say the animals were entirely soft-bodied. They lived before evolution of shells, teeth, or bones. We know that's just not true. I showed you it's not true. It's absolutely not true. And not only that, they were so gigantic. You think what I just showed you was gigantic? Hold on to your toes. You see this? That's a hair follicle. I don't know what it's from. It could be from a human. I have no idea. But it's a hair follicle. That I am absolutely certain of. You see that muscle? That's how muscles attach. There's a center point to them, and then they latch like that. All kind of little fibers on the outside, but there's always a little central core. That's it right there. That makes your hair do this. Well, what's coming out of the top? Well, a hair. Well, what's this? That's a sebaceous gland. Look at these little bubble globs. Well, guess what? We got one of those too. Now, it normally would have been higher up on this on the shaft. This is kind of squished down here. But it's there. That's it right there. That's the sebaceous gland. Well, what is this? Well, that's the root ball. It comes down to the bottom. And what are those two little dots down at the bottom? Well, those are those two little dots right there, the vein and the artery. So we have a hair follicle. It's 2 inches wide. Now, that's no 12-foot guy. That's no 20-foot guy. That's no 100-foot guy. That's no 500-foot. Well, it might be 500 feet. I don't know. But it's certainly nothing they can accept. That's the problem. What I have here is not allowed to be seen. That's the key. My channel's suppressed. I was suppressed in 2014. I was basically destroyed when I came out with this stuff. And that's exactly what happened. I want you to be 100% certain you understand this. I'm not talking about bones. I'm talking about the complete body parts, which were preserved because of the boiling of the waters and the extreme amount of silicates which came up from the ocean floor, which never would have done that. And Yale agrees to that it was silica-rich oceans that caused this. And it was worldwide. So now, the Smithsonian archaeologists were destroying giants' bones in order to cover up the existence of giants. Somebody said there was a conspiracy theory in 2014 about this, that they were destroying the bones. And I don't know if they are or if they're not. I have no idea. But I can tell you one thing. They won't allow people to speak against them. Velikovsky wrote a book that talked about all these giants and all the dragons and all the Venus almost hitting Earth and all that, and they forced the bookseller to remove it from the bookshelves. 11 weeks on #1 on the bestseller list, New York Times, the best, 11 weeks in a row, and they made them take the books off the shelves. Now, he did get another publisher, but not right away, I don't think, and it was not, by that time they had destroyed his reputation, that people are buying are just idiots and da-da-da-da. So anyway, and they couldn't really do much too, because he was no longer in academia. I don't think he wasn't teaching anywhere. He was in academia. I don't really know the details of the end of his story, but I can tell you what the end of my story is. They can't attack me because I'm not in academia. All they can do is dismiss me and keep me at bay, which they have done a very, very good job at. But this can't stop. It can't do this forever. The evidence is so completely, totally undeniable and overwhelming that they have to be concerned about their legacy of what they turn their eyes against. They must be concerned about that. I can't believe that it's incompetent. I think there's nobody. This is just incompetent. It's just impossible. So it's not, if it's not incompetence, what is it? I think it's self-preservation. They've gone to schools and all this stuff, spent a lot of money, I'm sure, to be taught what to say about geology and about archaeology and space and physics and all that stuff, which at this point in time, I'm telling you, 100% of that is in question and 99% of it is wrong. So let's just move forward with this and get out of this quagmire that we're in of not allowing reality. It's going on way, way, way too long.